Hi, my name is Donna Bachler, and I am a card-carrying skeptic. Well, not yet. You're going to send me the card. Um, so I'm a combat veteran, and there's an old saying that there are no atheists in foxholes, which I always thought was a great argument against foxholes and not so much a good argument for God. But actually, my journey into skepticism happened way earlier than I ever joined the Army. And I'd like to credit my deadbeat dad. And the only good thing he ever did was give me a horrible example. So my father was a Catholic deacon, and he was also a really bad guy. And I don't want to smear his image too much on the internet in a public video, but let's just say anything that the Bible tells you not to do, he did, like a lot. So the problem with that was, at home you can't hide who you really are, and I would see who he really was, a racist, um, a violator of almost every sexual rule in the Bible. Let's just put it that way. A violator of a lot of sexual society rules. Let's put it that way. Hopefully, you kind of get where I'm going with that. But anyway, what happened with me is I would sit there and I would watch this man do these terrible things and speak these terrible words and call my best friend in the world, who was black. And I know the right thing to say is African American, but he wasn't African American. This kid is the color black. I mean, he is the darkest skinned individual at that time I had ever met. But anyway, call him horrible names, things like that. And I'd sit there and I'd go, this doesn't work for me, right? Because during the week, this guy's like the world's worst human being, and doesn't provide for his family and is a racist and just a horrible human being. And then on Sunday, I have to go and sit in church in my pretty little dresses and all this other junk, and sit in church and sit there and listen to this hypocrite preach why everything he does during the week is wrong. And I'm sitting there and I go, this doesn't work for me. This doesn't jive for me. It doesn't make any sense. And so I learned from a very, very young age that people can speak out of both sides of their mouth. I also learned at a very, very young age that when an authority figure says something is true, doesn't really make it true. That you should get evidence, right? That you should back it up. That claims require evidence, and that you should think for yourself and critically think. And as I grew up and I became an adult, it astounds me how many people don't understand critical thinking. And I like to think that in my life I've tried very much to instill the skill of critical thinking in almost everyone I meet. I was briefly a school teacher, and I instilled a lot of critical thinking, and I'm not a school teacher anymore because they don't like critical thinking. But but I think that we should teach critical thinking in schools. I think we should teach critical thinking and skepticism everywhere, and it just astounds me how much it's not there. But thankfully, my father, who made my upbringing absolutely horrible and was a terrible person, and I have no love lost for, instilled in me a couple of skills, and like one of them is how to badger customer service and get anything you want. He did it all the time. When used judiciously, it's not that bad. But the most important thing, right, he ever instilled in me was skepticism, and the ability to say, people can be full of crap and sound like they know what they're talking about. So you should check it out and back it up. So that's thankfully I became a skeptic at a very, very young age, and I think that's great. And I love what you guys are doing. Keep it up and send me my card, man.